Hello guys, welcome to Ernest Rise. I am Rubaya, whom you know as Ruby, the head of EC Main, and today I am here to give you some tips on using imagery in poetry. So let's get started. Okay, so before I begin with using imagery in poetry, let me tell you something about imagery. So, what is an imagery? As soon as we hear the word imagery, the first word that comes to our mind is image, picture, something which we see. But in the literary world, imagery is not only about seeing, it is something beyond seeing. It is a mental image, it is a mental visualization which our mind creates, but it can't be created just out of the blue. We just can't close our eyes and visualize a particular image and write them down. No, it can't happen. So for that, we need to evoke our senses, we need to play with our senses, we need to ignite our senses and create an emotion for that particular image, and that's what imagery is. Using imagery in a poem not only evokes an image, a mental image, but also evokes a feeling for that image, which not only gives an emotion to the poem but also shows some kind of emotion of the poet as well. And so that's what imagery is. Okay, now you know what an imagery is, and here comes my first tip. And my first tip is choosing a subject. Now you may be thinking, what's there to say about choosing a subject? Like, choosing a subject is so easy, but no, my friend, choosing a subject is not at all easy. We can't just randomly pick up a subject. We can't just simply Google themes for poetries and then they will give us this long list for themes regarding love, betrayal, friendship, social causes, nature, blah blah blah, etc. There are so many themes, but how will you say for which particular theme you are feeling so strongly right now? You will not be able to do that just by looking at your phone screen, and for that you need to go out, you need to get yourself connected with the nature, you need to let your mind wander, just look around, look here, look there, look wherever you feel like, and just maybe go to a cafe, at a playground, at a park, wherever you want. Even if you don't feel like going out, just sit at the coziest corner of your home, take a cup of coffee or tea or your favorite drink, and look out. You will get so many images, and that one particular image also, which like will not leave your mind at all, even if you stop watching outside. And that's the way we can choose our subject. And with that, we can also keep a notebook and a pen. Like, it's a necessity for writers, for poets, to keep a notebook and a pen always at the side, so that whatever we see, wherever we see, even if we are traveling, even we are at work or at maybe at school or university, wherever we are, even whatever we hear that struck our mind, that hit our ears, like, oh wow, that's interesting, we can just jot that down. So never forget to keep a notebook and a pen with you. Even if you don't have that, we all have phones, right? Then we can just type that down, like save that in our phone. We can save that thinking, we can save that words or images which we are seeing in our phone. And that's the way, and like we can choose the subject in that way instead of just simply looking at the phone screen and like searching for all those themes. Second tip is all about choosing words. Now we all face this difficulty while writing, that we end up choosing same words repeatedly and sometimes go on looking for their synonyms. But for imagery we can't do that. For imagery we need to play around with our senses. We need to evoke our senses for that particular image, for that particular theme, and mix our words with that particular senses, like the evoked senses. We need to mix our words with those evoked senses. And since we all know we have five types of senses, depending on these five types of senses, we have five different types of imagery. And the first is visual imagery. As the name suggests, visual imagery is all about sight, whatever we are seeing, like dark, dim, starry night sky, etc. Second is auditory imagery, and auditory imagery is all about sound, whatever we hear. And most of the time, onomatopoeic words are auditory imagery. For instance, thud, drip drop, gush, whoosh, all these words or auditory imagery. Third is olfactory imagery. Olfactory imagery is whatever we smell, the fragrance, the odor, whatever hits our nose is olfactory imagery. For instance, if we hear fruity fragrance or flowery fragrance, we have this very soothing feeling inside us. But the moment we hear pungent, stinky, we are like you. And so that's what an imagery does. Fourth is gustatory imagery. And gustatory imagery is whatever we taste, whatever our tongue tastes. And the words that goes with gustatory imagery are like juicy, sweet, salty, spicy, sour, etc. And last but not the least, tactile imagery. Tactile imagery is the touch, like whatever our skin feels when we touch something. It can be smooth, rough, hard, tricky, etc. And along with all these 5 types of imagery, we have 2 more types of imagery that are kinesthetic imagery and organic or subjective imagery. Kinesthetic imagery is all about movement, like racing heart or palpitations of the heart, or sentences like the wind blows as the tree dances to its rhythm. These are kinesthetic imagery. And last, organic imagery or subjective imagery is too much personal. The organic imagery shows too many personal emotions like pain, hunger, thirst, etc. Now, sometimes it's not possible to blend all the senses together from one particular image. Like all the senses sometimes can't be relevant for every subject, for every image. But that doesn't mean we will not try to evoke our senses. We have to try to evoke our senses as far as we can. Still, like till our heart's content, we have to do that. And finally, we will get that one strongest emotion, and that one strongest emotion becomes the very base of our poetry. Like suppose after thinking about an image, after evoking our senses for a particular image, we get this very gloomy feeling. Then all our words that we choose also becomes very gloomy. But if after thinking about an image, we get this very happy feeling or very calm feeling, then our words also, the words which we choose also are very happy or calm, like full of very happiness and calmness. So that's the way we should choose words when we want to use imagery. Third is figures of speech. And we all know what is figures of speech, like simile, metaphor, personification, onomatopoeia, hyperbole. All these figures of speech helps a lot for imagery. For instance, if I say a cloudy evening sky, the very image that we get, like it's different for everybody. For me, it can be like very gloomy, cloudy evening sky without any streak of light. For you, it can be like not that much cloudy with little bit of clouds and most of the time light. And for some, it can't be like too much gloomy, like it's not at all gloomy, like the clouds are not gray at all. It can be white clouds floating in the sky. So for everybody it's different. But if I say the soft grayish winged pillows are floating and gliding as the glistening gold, and the burnt out tangerine blends and dissipates in the black canvas of the night, then it clearly shows what I'm talking about. It clearly shows that I'm talking about some gray clouds. It clearly shows I'm talking about what kind of evening sky. It's mostly what I'm talking about is the time when the sun hits the horizon, and what's happening next, like all those colors are blending into the night sky. So one side we have this sentence cloudy evening sky, and the next side we have this long sentence full of imageries, and we all know what difference these two sentences can do. So that's what figures of speech do. And for imagery, for using imagery, to know figures of speech is a must. Fourth is adjectives. Now you may be thinking, why an adjective? But what is an adjective? Adjective is words which we use to describe noun or some kind of action or verbs, And what is an imagery? Imagery is also some sort of description, like we are describing our mental images. So why can't we use adjectives? And for the beginners, this adjectives is very this adjective is very helpful. Why? Sometimes it gets difficult to prepare all those metaphors or personifications, like using those figures of speech gets sometimes difficult for the beginners. So for them this adjective is very useful, and this adjective is not only useful for the beginners but also sometimes for those who are writing for a long time. Like for instance, if I say this sentence, his soft whispers kills my tattered heart as a peaceful slumber embraces me after a long dark night. So here I have used so many adjectives, and it not only evokes an emotion but also shows some kind of story, like what might have happened to that person who is telling this. Like it shows some kind of background story. And adjectives are mostly used for organic imagery, like something when we use something too much emotional or too much personal, we use adjectives for that. And yes, adjectives is a very easy way to use imagery, like to evoke emotions. Adjectives is one of the easy way. Last but not the least is reading. Obviously a writer can't be a writer unless he or she reads, and for that I'm giving you names of some poets who will whose poetries will help you in broadening your knowledge about broadening your words about imagery. And the poets are like T.S. Eliot, Robert Frost, Lord Alfred Tennyson, William Wordsworth, Coleridge, Keats. There are so many other poets also. Like you can choose poets of your own also. They are my favorites, but you can choose your own poets. That just search the names, like just search imagery poetries, and you will get many poetries in the Google. And also, like it's not necessary to read every poetry, like each and every poetry is not necessary. Just read some poetries and try to understand how the poets have used those imagery or what kind of words they have used. And you can also try to use your own brain, use your own mind to create something out of that. Suppose you are not liking a particular line, or some particular line has you are getting too much drawn to a particular line, then try to visualize that, try to create your own imagery. Or maybe you are getting too much emotional for a particular poem, then try to create an own imagery of your own. And that's the way you can evolve more for in writing imagery. So that's it. Here the video ends. Hope you all like this video. If you like it, then please give a big thumbs up and share this video with all those poetry lovers, all those poets who write poetries or want to write poetries, and help them out and spread this as much as possible. And also subscribe this channel and click the bell icon so that you get notifications whenever we post videos. And yeah, till then, bye.